You're born in Newcastle, England, 1916. Your father works the shipyards, comes home smelling like rust and exhaustion. Your mother takes in laundry from the wealthy families up the hill. You grow up watching ships slide into the gray water of the Tyne, wondering where they go, what they carry, what it would feel like to disappear over that horizon. You're not poor. You're the thing just above poor, the kind that keeps you hungry enough to want more but too proud to admit it. School bores you. Teachers bore you. Rules bore you. You have quick hands and a quicker mouth, and by 14 you've learned that charm opens doors that fists can't. You talk your way out of trouble so often it becomes a skill. You talk your way into places you don't belong. You learn that people believe what they want to believe, and if you tell them the right story, they'll hand you the keys to their house. At 17, you join the army, not out of patriotism, out of boredom. They station you in London, and for 6 months you guard buildings and march in straight lines and polish boots until they shine like black mirrors. Then you meet a girl. Blonde hair, red lipstick, a laugh that sounds like breaking glass. She lives in Soho, and soon you're spending more time in her flat than in your barracks. You go missing for 2 months. When they catch you, they give you 3 months in a military prison and a dishonorable discharge. You don't go home. You stay in Soho. You work odd jobs, barman, film extra, door-to-door salesman, but your expenses outpace your earnings. Gambling debts, tailored suits, bottles of champagne for women whose names you forget by morning. You need money, and you need it fast. That's when you meet the gang. They call themselves the Jelly Gang. Gelignite. Explosives. They blow safes open and take what's inside. The first time you watch them work, you're terrified. The second time, you're fascinated. The third time, you're holding the torch while someone else handles the dynamite. You discover you have a gift. Not for the explosives, for the acting. You can dress like a water inspector and walk into any building. You can forge documents that pass inspection. You can lie to a man's face while his wife serves you tea in the next room. The gang loves you. You're their front man, their charmer, their key to locked doors. For 3 years, you live well. Too well. Bentley automobiles, Savile Row suits, dinners at restaurants where the waiters know your name. Scotland Yard knows your name too. Your photograph hangs in every police station in London. They want you badly, but you're always one step ahead. Until you're not. Jersey, 1939. You're hiding out on the island, trying to lay low while the heat dies down. You break into a nightclub just to prove you still can, and the local police catch you mid-job. 2 years in prison. They add another year when you try to escape. You sit in your cell and stare at the ceiling and wonder if this is how your story ends. A petty thief rotting on a rock in the English Channel. Then the Germans arrive. June 1940. The Nazis occupy the Channel Islands. Jersey becomes the only British soil under German occupation. The guards at your prison change uniforms. The food gets worse. The rules get stricter. But something else happens too. The Germans start asking questions. Who are you? What did you do? Why are you here? They hear about your skills, the explosives, the forgery, the acting. And one day, a man in a gray suit visits your cell. He speaks perfect English with a slight accent. He represents the Abwehr, German military intelligence. He has a proposition. Work for us, he says. We'll train you. We'll send you back to England. You'll sabotage factories, gather intelligence, recruit other agents. In return, we'll give you your freedom, money, a new identity, a chance to start over. You look at this man in his pressed suit with his polished shoes, and you think about the cell you've been rotting in for 2 years. You think about the war raging across Europe, the bombs falling on London, the world burning while you sit here counting cracks in the ceiling. You think about what kind of man you are and what kind of man you want to be. You say yes. The training begins in France, a villa outside Nantes, requisitioned from a family who fled before the occupation. You live with a dozen other recruits, men from a half-dozen countries, all of them misfits, criminals, opportunists. Your handler is a German officer named Grauman. He's older, cultured, speaks 6 languages. He doesn't look like a Nazi. He looks like someone's grandfather. He treats you well, almost like a son. The curriculum is extensive. Morse code. Radio operation. You sit for hours tapping messages, learning to send and receive at speeds that make your fingers cramp. Invisible ink. They teach you formulas, chemical compounds that disappear when dry and reappear under heat or ultraviolet light. Explosives. You learn about detonators, timers, pressure plates, how to bring down a bridge, how to disable a factory without leaving evidence. They teach you dead drops, locations where you can leave messages for other agents without ever meeting them, a hollow tree in a park, a loose brick in a wall, a book in a library with coded notes in the margins. They teach you counter-surveillance, how to spot a tail, how to lose one, how to double back on your own route and confirm you're not being followed. And they teach you your cover story, every detail of a fake identity you'll wear like a second skin, a name, a birthplace, a childhood, a career. You memorize it until it feels more real than your actual memories, until you can recite it under pressure, under interrogation, under pain. The other recruits wash out one by one. Some can't handle the pressure, some make mistakes, some disappear in the night, and nobody asks where they've gone. But you thrive. Grauman tells you you're his best student. He believes in you. He trusts you. That's when you make your decision. December 1942. A German plane flies low over the English countryside at night. You jump from the cargo door with a parachute on your back and a bag full of explosives and forged documents. You land in a muddy field in Cambridgeshire, roll to absorb the impact, gather your chute. The mission is clear. Infiltrate London, contact the criminal underworld, sabotage the de Havilland aircraft factory, where they build the mosquito bomber that's been devastating German cities. Instead, you walk to the nearest farmhouse and turn yourself in. The farmer calls the police. The police call MI5. By dawn, you're in the back of an unmarked car heading to a mansion in southwest London. Camp 020, Latchmere House, the place where the British interrogate captured spies. The interrogator is a colonel with a monocle and an ice-cold stare. They call him Tin Eye. He's broken hundreds of men. He sits across from you in a bare room and asks you why you've surrendered. You tell him the truth. You hate the Nazis. You always have. You played along because it was the only way out of that cell, the only way back to England. You want to help. You want to fight. You want to turn the skills they taught you against the people who taught you. He doesn't believe you. Not at first. They keep you at Camp 020 for weeks. They interrogate you for hours at a time. They check every detail of your story against their own intelligence. They have sources the Germans don't know about. They've cracked codes the Germans think are unbreakable. They know things about the Abwehr that even the Abwehr doesn't know. And slowly, piece by piece, they begin to trust you. Your new handler is a man named Reed, former BBC engineer turned intelligence officer. He's quieter than Grauman, more cautious, but he sees something in you. He gives you a code name, Zigzag, because your loyalties have zagged in every direction, and nobody quite knows which way you'll jump next. Welcome to the Double Cross, he says. You're one of us now. The Double Cross is MI5's secret weapon. Every German spy in Britain, every single one, has been captured and turned. The Abwehr thinks they have a network of agents feeding them valuable intelligence. In reality, every report, every radio transmission, every piece of information is controlled by the British. False data, misleading timelines, strategic lies designed to make the Germans believe things that aren't true, and you're their newest asset. The first mission is the factory. The Germans expect you to blow up the de Havilland plant. Instead, MI5 stages an elaborate fake explosion. Camouflage experts work through the night transforming the factory to look destroyed from the air. Debris scattered across the grounds. Fake bomb craters. Burn marks painted on the walls. The next morning, a story runs in the Daily Express about a mysterious explosion at a vital war factory. German reconnaissance planes photograph the site. The damage looks real. You radio Grauman with the news. Mission accomplished. The mosquito factory is in ruins. The Germans believe every word. For the next 2 years, you live a double life. By day, you're a free man in London, watched but not confined. You stay in safe houses. You drink in pubs. You charm women with stories you can never fully tell. By night, you send coded messages to your German handlers, feeding them carefully crafted lies that have been approved by committees you'll never meet. The work is tedious. Every transmission must be perfect. The Germans know your radio style, the way you tap out Morse code, your rhythm and timing. If something seems off, they'll know you've been compromised. You spend hours crafting messages that feel natural while containing exactly the information MI5 wants the Germans to receive. You learn the art of the almost truth. Pure lies are dangerous. They can be checked, verified, exposed. The best deceptions contain 90% truth and 10% carefully placed fiction. A real troop movement, but the wrong date. A genuine factory location, but the wrong production capacity. Accurate names of commanders, but fabricated plans. The Germans trust you because most of what you tell them checks out. The parts that don't, those are the parts that matter. You create a network of fictional subagents, men who don't exist, scattered across Britain, feeding you information you invent. A dock worker in Liverpool, a disgruntled army officer in Scotland, a secretary with access to classified files in London. You give them names, backstories, personalities. You report their fictional findings to Grauman like you're running a real espionage network. The Germans pay you for their work. You pocket the money. But the tedium is punctuated by terror. The V-1 rockets start falling in 1944. Flying bombs, the Germans call them. Buzz bombs, Londoners call them. They come without warning, their engines cutting out right before they fall, and in that moment of silence you have seconds to find cover before the explosion. Thousands die, neighborhoods disappear, and through it all, you're sending false reports about where the bombs are landing, telling the Germans they're hitting central London when they're actually falling short, convincing them to shorten their range even more. Every lie you tell saves lives you'll never know about. D-Day approaches. June 1944. The greatest military operation in history, and you're part of the deception. Through your fake reports and the reports of other double agents, the Germans become convinced that the invasion will come at Calais, not Normandy. They position their forces wrong. They hold their reserves in the wrong places. When the Allied troops hit the beaches, the Germans are caught off guard. You don't land at Normandy. You're not a soldier, but you hear the news on the radio, and you know that somewhere in the chaos and carnage, your lies are saving lives. The troops who make it off the beach, the tanks that roll inland without facing the full force of German resistance, the planes that fly without being shot down. Your fingerprints are on all of it, invisible but present. The war ends, Germany surrenders, the camps are liberated, and the world learns the full horror of what the Nazis did. You watch the newsreels in a cinema in London, and you think about Grauman, the cultured officer who treated you like a son, and you wonder what he knew and when he knew it. I-5 pays you off. £6,000 and a pardon for your pre-war crimes. Not bad for a safecracker from Newcastle. They tell you to keep quiet about what you did. The double-cross system is still classified. The methods might be useful again. The agents might be needed in the next war, the one they're already whispering about, the one against the Soviets. You try to go straight. You really do. But the skills don't disappear just because the war is over. The charm, the lies, the ability to become anyone, to wear any mask, to talk your way into and out of anything. You smuggle gold across the Mediterranean. You run schemes and scams. You write your memoirs and get charged with violating the Official Secrets Act. The judge finds you £50 and winks. Your German handler, Grauman, survived the war. You track him down in Germany, living in poverty, a broken old man in a defeated country. The Nazis gave you an Iron Cross for your service, not knowing you'd earned it by betraying them. Grauman doesn't know either. You keep in touch. You visit him. You pay for his meals. He comes to your daughter's wedding decades later. Two old men who played the most dangerous game in history, one of them still not knowing he lost. You live to be old. 83 years. Heart failure takes you in 1997. The newspapers run obituaries calling you a criminal, a spy, a patriot, a scoundrel. All of it true, none of it complete. You spent your whole life becoming other people, playing roles, wearing masks, the safecracker, the prisoner, the German agent, the British double agent, the smuggler, the memoirist. Which one was real? Which one was the lie? Maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the truth is that you were always all of them, and none of them, and the only real version of you was the one who kept moving, kept adapting, kept surviving. The one who learned that in a world of war and secrets and shadowed men in gray suits, the only loyalty that matters is the one you choose for yourself. The double cross wasn't just a system, it was a way of life. And you lived it until the very end. That's a wrap for today. The story you just heard is fiction, but the double-cross system was real. The agents were real. And somewhere in the archives of MI5, there are files about men and women who played both sides and changed the course of history. If this one made you think, drop a comment, subscribe for more.